Welcome to the Evergreen Creative Company podcast. We like to call it the Evergreen Creative Podcast. It's a little bit shorter to say, but our main goal for this podcast is to share our experiences as a company through the projects that we work on a weekly basis. Whether you're a client or another creator, you're going to get to hear our experiences from each project that we work on. So if you find value from this podcast, please leave a review and also share this with your friends and colleagues. And we're actually recording this time.
Yay.
We did record last time, but it took 3 tries.
We took turns recording on the camera, on the recorder.
It was awful. So Team Evergreen here. I'm Josh.
I'm Kristen.
Houston.
Hannah.
And we are episode 4 now. We're already so far into it. 4 episodes.
We should throw a party to celebrate the 4th episode of the podcast. How about Thursday at 10 a.m.?
That sounds good. But if you're listening to this right now, that's the day after. So we release these on Fridays at 7 a.m. Eastern time. Maybe. I don't know, Central. It's 7 something.
It's 7 somewhere.
Yeah. Why? Drinking my coffee.
What happened was we ran out of coffee at home.
There's coffee over
Yeah,
there.
there's still some in
Do
the
I have to
Chemex
get
over
up?
there.
I mean, it'll be kind of cold, or you can warm it up afterwards. But
It was just warm enough for me to down a little bit.
all right. So since we're on coffee, like I'm pretty much just a straight Mural City Aviators blend drinker. Like I don't really veer off of that much anymore. Do you guys stick to one kind of blend, or do you guys
I
try
drink
stuff?
tea.
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 I drink hot tea mostly. I like coffee.
Mhm.
Mural City is obviously the favorite, but if I have to choose, it's tea.
I'm a big single origin guy.
So you special order, have it shipped?
Yeah, like Mural City, they have, what did they have most recently? I can't even keep up. They had like a Brazilian, like a Peruvian, something like that, but like where all the beans come from one place instead of them blending them together to get a certain flavor profile.
Okay.
It just kind of is what it is.
I don't know why I got on Aviator so much, but it's just been a good blend for me.
It's a solid morning
I
coffee.
think Darren Swan, he had posted like that's his go-to, and so I tried it, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm good with this.
Got Mural City, and then another go-to for me is Onyx Coffee Lab out of
They're
Northwest
like more
Arkansas.
expensive though,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
Onyx is
they-
really good.
Started as just like a small roastery coffee shop in like
Mhm.
2012, and they've blown up to be like
That's
one of
cool.
the biggest roasters in the United States. It's been crazy to see their growth.
It's like coffee is and I guess energy drinks too, is a staple for filmmakers.
Trying to stop with the energy drinks. Going
But-
for tea now.
It was funny with Alec, my cousin, but Kristen's side of the family. He's been helping out throughout the summer. Like he's
You
our
said
cousin.
Kristen's side. I was like,
Kristen's
what?
side of the family,
Kristen's
on her side of
side.
the family. Like he went to film school at SCAD. He's trying to figure some stuff out, direction and things like that. But like he came in here and we didn't know if he drank coffee or not. So I was like, you want some coffee? He's like, no, I don't drink coffee. I'm like, how are you in this industry? It's like he's still young, so he'll be on it at some point, I'm sure. But so coffee talk. I'm excited about a release that Mural City has coming out pretty soon, and they kind of dropped some hints in their latest post with some
The
T-shirts.
sign?
Well, there was that,
Because
That
I'm
was
excited.
crazy.
I'm excited about the new sign.
but the new sign
Carmichael
is probably gonna be pretty dope. But the other thing, I don't know how public it is.
They posted it. We commented on it.
this isn't
about
coming
the-
out until Friday. It's fine. It'll be fine, babe.
Okay, so just in case, editor note, I'm talking about the truck.
Right.
Okay, so
Oh yeah,
I
they've
thought-
posted about
Yeah.
it.
they've posted about it, but they haven't like put anything out in public about what the full thing looks like.
I know.
But
They've kind of been hinting
they
at
had
it, like
some
their
hints,
T-shirt post.
right? Their T-shirt post, you saw the black in the background. I'm like, that's gonna look pretty sick. So I'm pretty excited about that. But we have our own vehicle that we're pretty pumped about. If you were listening last week, we were talking about 2 big surprises. We can go ahead and talk about it now because we're gonna have it out at the studio on Thursday. We're planning to, at least. We bought a 1976 Volkswagen camper van, and we are planning to convert it to a photo booth. We're still kind of deciding on aesthetics and all that kind of stuff, but we're pretty pumped about that. I had a client couple come in yesterday and going over videography kind of stuff for their wedding in September. So I'm thinking, I really, really hope by that point we have this thing done. So I went ahead and said, hey, well, this isn't, release news kind of stuff yet, but we do have this van that we're renovating to make it a photo booth kind of stuff. And the groom was like, that sounds awesome. So he's pretty excited about that. He said to let him know. So it was pretty nice the first time telling a client about it. And they're like, yes, we want to do that once it's available. So that was pretty cool to have that kind of feedback already. And other fun stuff with just feedback kind of things. It's always nice to get feedback from prior clients and things like that. And just on the wedding vibe right now, Taylor Barnes, which is Fenn now, not Taylor Fenn. One of the projects I liked in recent weddings was one of my favorites to work on. Houston did a great job with the edit, and she sent this picture that the photographer took of me. It was like a BTS kind of look.
Nice.
And I'll try to throw it on the screen. But she said, this picture speaks 1,000 words. You're so much more than a videographer to us. We can't thank you enough for being our person to tell us, quote, everything is okay. You're doing great. We can't thank you enough, Josh. So it's like when you get that kind of stuff, that makes you feel pretty good about what you're doing. And
that's a crazy photo too.
Gives you.
That's weeks after the wedding. I mean, like weeks after the wedding that she's still bringing up feedback.
Right. And
she's been our number 1 fan for a few weeks.
I would say so. Like, I think Taylor, like, she definitely gets that trophy. It's been fun getting that kind of, it's always nice to get that kind of feedback, and keeps us motivated to keep on doing what we're doing. So if you're new to the podcast, our goal of this podcast is to share our experiences with you through our different projects that we work on. So on a weekly basis, we're working on all kinds of stuff. We're weddings, we're corporate, personal projects, all kinds of things like that. And last week was no different. We had quite a few different things going on. It's been fun just doing this podcast too. It's been nice to kind of debrief and get feedback from each other, and just also just talk about what we did the previous weekend, because usually we have that kind of stuff going on. So that's our goal with that. We try to do it every Monday. Today is Tuesday for this recording, but you always can be flexible. No, it's actually a good call. And we had, we also had that shoot yesterday, so it would have been hard to get back here. We would have got back in time we worked on the farm center video yesterday.
That was so early yesterday
morning.
We have to save
that conversation for next week, because
it felt like a different day.
Yeah, today feels like Monday for whatever reason.
Yesterday? What did we? Oh.
But Tuesday was mostly editing kind of stuff, but we had a last minute headshot, which it was very last minute. It was like next day kind of thing, like, can I come in then tomorrow kind of thing, which is, we're pretty flexible. We're usually able to make things happen even at last minute. We prefer to have more plans in place, but the guy was also, and this is where, like, on our end of stuff, we have to ask more discovery questions, like, when do you need this by, or is there a deadline, and things like that, because he needed it that morning.
Yeah, he was walking out the door, and he was like, so I need to send him this morning, so when are you going to send him? And Josh is like, oh.
We'll make it happen.
Let me edit them.
So it kind of cut into my editing, or you edited those.
Yeah, you sent me the raw files.
Either way, it did kind of interrupt our.
They cut into my editing.
I still had to get them sent. I started to edit it, but I was like, Kristen has this process.
I think we were working on stuff, so you.
Yeah, like, and so Kristen's got, like, she does a lot of the photo editing right now, and she's got this just process that just it works right now. I'm sure we could tweak things, and we're still learning as we go. But I knew that she could knock it out quicker than I could still do a quick job, but I knew she could do a better quick job, if that makes sense.
I can't quickly edit photos. I take way too long.
Yeah.
He does take he'll take an Instagram story and it'll be 10 minutes, like we'll be at a restaurant. It'll be 10 minutes later and he's still like tweaking it. And I'm like, it's in his story. It doesn't matter.
It lives there 24 hours.
It's 24 hours.
But you can highlight it.
Never.
He's like, I want these to go away. But it makes me thankful that we have a studio and people in place to where if someone does need something last minute, because last minute needs happen, and we're able to say, yes, we can make it happen. So that was nice. The other thing was kind of an exciting trip for Kristen coming up. You're going to get to go on a cruise. You want to go into that?
I'm going on a cruise.
What are you doing? What's the plan? Like, what's your plan? Like, I know we got to still hash out some of the details, but like when you're doing photo and video coverage with an assistant, and I can't remember all the locations, but there's a lot of excursions and things like that you're going to be able to go on.
Yeah.
So one of the times that Kristen and I got to go to Cabos, Mexico, and Los Cabos, Mexico, the very tip of the peninsula, where like the Pacific and the sea comes together kind of stuff. Really cool place, beautiful location. But we also knew that we had to be careful with our gear. No offense to Mexico kind of stuff, but it's like you hear some of the horror stories about, gear getting confiscated. And so all the advice that we could take was like, try to be as minimal as possible. I think I even made a video about it to where we could fit one bag on each person as far as camera gear goes. So that way we could split up gear if we needed to. So if one bag got confiscated or something happened to it or stolen or whatever, we still have enough to get the job done with another bag. So it's like, you shouldn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, but still we're going to want to be minimal again to where like you're on these excursions. You're not going to want like this full video and photo set kind of stuff. You're just going to want probably hybrid shooting is going to be the key to that, plus some action camera stuff.
Yeah, there's going to be one point where we're in a submarine and we're submerged for, I think you said like 45 minutes or so. And so I definitely don't want too much on my person going through a submarine.
With that said, too, it's like, so I was hesitant on the trip, too. I was like, maybe I can make this happen. But, like, I get extremely seasick. Like, I will.
Really?
The last 2 times I've been out, like, on fishing boats kind of stuff, out on the Gulf of Mexico. The last time I was like, we made it out 20 minutes, and I was puking the entire time.
Those boats are so big. Like,
yeah, we went on a cruise for our honeymoon.
Like, those boats are so big, you can't even, like, you're on just like a floating city. Like, you don't know that.
And I hear that all the time, but I'm like, my luck.
Like, she gets car sick a lot, but just lives it up on cruise ships.
And it's only been recently, like I've never been car sick before, and like ever since I met Houston, I've been getting car sick.
It's all my fault.
Is it his car?
Yeah, I think it is just his driving.
Yeah. Well, Josh had
we've gone through 2 cars.
Was it,
yeah, that's true.
the red car that I could not. No.
The red car. The Dodge?
Yes.
The Dodge Ram?
No.
Well, let me just say.
What was it? The race car.
The Dodge, not Ram. I'm sorry, Dodge Charger.
Yes. The way the windows were tinted and tilted, I couldn't do it.
Well, like the car has so many problems.
Heavy-footed.
Like for one thing, it's not aligned, so you're literally the steering wheel when you drive is like this. So that's like number one. That's not even exaggerated. Y'all can go out and look at the car. It's
I
not
don't
exaggerated.
notice it.
Anyways.
We'll reel that back
I was
in.
like,
Mexico, cruise ship, back on track.
Right.
Cut that
so
out.
I was like, I think, Kristen, you're going to have to take this one. Even though, like, I was going to try to make it happen and have some optimism. Like, I hear all the time that it's a big boat and all this kind of stuff. But anyways.
Yeah, he was like, Houston, like, can you go on a cruise? And I was like, without me? No. He can't. He's busy that day.
It's also 8 days.
Yeah, those 8 days, he's actually busy.
But Yeah, but also like on the home side of stuff, it's going to make it easier for one of us to stay behind. And we have a friend they're married, but they're having their reception, Oren. So staying back for that reason as well. But also, then I heard about the submarine. I'm just like, I don't know about that. There's a reason why tall people are hard-headed. It's because we're always hitting our head on stuff. So,
There's that one time where we were in Mobile and we saw the submarine at USS Alabama, but I was like 9 months pregnant, trying to fit through the doors and lift your legs up over the little door paths.
I remember that.
Those doors that are barely big enough for a child, let alone like a 6-foot man.
Yeah. Or a 9 months pregnant one.
Yeah.
And trying to handle kids at the same time.
Do not run ahead.
Because I ain't catching up.
What even were we talking about?
Yeah, I think we're done
The
with
cruise.
the cruise. But
Moving on.
Okay.
That ship has sailed.
All of a sudden, I didn't see. It was like between blinks. And I got so scared the camera wasn't recording anymore.
Yeah, everybody's like paranoid. I got a new memory card for it.
Okay,
and that seemed to fix the problem. I think it was the write speeds weren't catching up to it. Maybe. But it was also a very old card that I had in there. It was like 256 gigs. It was fast for its time. But Wednesday, got to work with the Wiregrass Wedding Collective crew. So that was kind of like a hybrid company project in a sense. If you're not familiar with the Wiregrass Wedding Collective, it's ourselves, Evergreen, mostly me, and Kimberly Smith Events and Courtney Woodham Photography. So we've been a group we've put on a couple events, what we call the Bridal Stroll. It's like a vendor event to where it's downtown, brides and stuff get to meet different vendors and things like that. We try to be a little bit different. I'll link the highlight video that we put together. But apart from the stroll, we have goals to have about 3 to 4 different events each calendar year. So this year we'll work on the next one that we want to do. And then we have another one in mind, but we're trying to work out to where everything lands on the calendar in the best spot. And so this time around, what we're doing is a Wedding Pro workshop, and it's geared towards like the business end of the industry. So not necessarily client related kind of stuff, but things to help you on the back end, marketing, budgeting, books, all the stuff that like if you're just starting out a business, this is how you can kind of get on the right foot with stuff. So we'll have a representative from the Dothan Chamber of Commerce speaking. There's Lainey DeBose, which is Courtney's sister. She has worked with Haven Interiors, and also I think Roto-Rooters is Courtney's other business. And I think one other thing, and she's done really well with keeping their presence in marketing and systems and processes and things like that help out with the company side of stuff. So she's actually, puns are ridiculous, but bridging out to her own business, which is called Bridge to Business. And so she's going to be speaking and giving some insight to that, but also giving an opportunity to where companies can have one-on-one consultations as well. So to get more in-depth kind of training and stuff. And then the collective, we're going to have our own little part too, which will be more of a Q&A kind of side of stuff. We'll get some conversations going and things like that. It's going to be hosted at KBC. More information to come and all that kind of stuff. We'll put links in the description. Hopefully we'll have the event post up this week too. But anyways, we needed to do some content shooting. And so Houston helped out with the shooting side of stuff. The 3 of us sat down in the chairs and shot a video. Took a lot longer than what it needed to.
It's always fun
been.
when there's no teleprompter.
The outtakes are
script.
longer than the actual video itself, but the outtakes are pretty funny. And then Lainey also did her a little bit. So that's what we did in the studio. Again, it's nice to have a spot to where we can be able to do that. But speaking of spots, so it's like that shoot was in the afternoon. It was like 2 o'clock, I think. And we have to shut off the AC when we record audio, and it got hot pretty fast.
It was.
I know, it was
warm.
so, and I was in there with
And
all
that's,
the windows.
yeah, that side of the building for sure gets a lot warmer than this side. Plus, we have a ceiling fan right here that helps out. Anyways, with that said, we love this spot, but we're definitely
If you're a real estate
on the pursuit
hit us
to
up.
figure out something else to where we don't have an air conditioner unit right next to where we have to record stuff. But we're making do for now. Morning times are still okay. So we're able to get that kind of stuff in.
Alabama summers are brutal.
Definitely no longer than an hour is what needs to happen. But so that was fun. I got to edit that. I put all that stuff together, I think, over the weekend and finished it up yesterday. So we're working on those details.
And y'all struggled so much. Like, it would be like one sentence out and then
Everybody's laughing.
okay, I'm sorry, I need to start over.
But that is the way it goes. It's like clients do better than us. Like when it comes to doing our own thing, it's always just tough. Like I get tongue twisted. Like I'm gonna post the outtakes. It's funny. Like I cannot talk straight whatsoever.
And you can cut this part out. But I had to pee the whole time. So I was sitting there and people kept messing up and I was like, get the line so I can come in there and pee.
I'm not cutting that part out. That's funny.
Get it together.
You just have to go see Ben.
I
Like,
was
just run next door.
I was texting Houston. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't get in the door and I'm about to pee my pants.
That's funny.
It's like when we did our content day for the website last week.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, this will take an hour. It took us all day.
all day.
Yeah, I figured we
love
would
it.
have just rolled right through it.
We're not as good at this as we think we are.
Thursday is Kristen met with Holmes County High School, so that's actually a win. So you can talk about that a little bit.
Yep. So the high school, their photographer is retiring this year, and so they were looking for a company to pick up where they left off, but also add to. One of the things that she was most interested in, well, first of all, she just liked us and how personable we were and stuff like that. But she thought she thought that maybe we would host like a workshop for their yearbook staff because they have a camera. They don't know anything about the settings. They don't know anything about it. When I picked up their camera, like it was set on some sort of time lapse setting, and she was like, I don't understand what's going on. And so I brought everything back to where they could just like point and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
But
If you're a client, and obviously if you're a professional or even hobbyist or something, when in doubt, just go to auto. Like it's okay. Like that's what all our phones are mostly set on anyways, and then like get some help because like, yeah, we're happy to help with that kind of stuff, but we don't want you to try to shoot something and you're like in what you were saying, like a time lapse or like sound like intervals or something like that. So, yeah, feel free to reach out. Like we're happy to help. Like come on in and bring your camera and we'll sit down with you.
Yep. So she said even last year there was a student that wanted to learn more about photography, but it's just not there for them. And so I said, I mean, I wanted to just say, we'll definitely do one full day and then let the yearbook or the yearbook staff, what are they called? Students, staff?
Yearbook staff.
Hashtag homeschooled. Come in and, if during the senior sessions, like take turns with whoever's shooting that and learning flash gear positions, the different things that it takes to make something like the portrait settings happen. And then, another set of kids come to the homecoming game. That's way different than the senior sessions, but that's still, on the fly settings and things like that, where beforehand, all they had was a camera in hand and figure it out. Like
Your yearbook is where I kind of got my start with all this stuff. Like, I mean, I had a Flip Ultra HD. You remember those things?
Mm-hmm.
Like all the YouTubers had them. And they had the flip out USB stick on the side, but I hadn't touched like an actual like DSLR until yearbook. I was just like, sure, I know how to work computers. I'll put together a yearbook and try to take pictures.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of where I got started with all that stuff.
That's interesting.
I was on yearbook too. But I would design pages mostly. I didn't want to go because, anxiety. I didn't want to have to go in people's classrooms and be like, hey, I'm going to take some photos. So I was like, let me just design pages.
I'd hate to see any of those photos. Like, I know they're still there because I have all the yearbooks that we made back home.
But I had a Canon Rebel T3i.
Whoa.
So we could go down memory lane for sure on what we got started on. Mine was like it was like a Sony point and shoot. That's when I started shooting with that on the YouTube channel. And I would take a cell phone mount that was strong enough to hold it. Like, that's how small of a camera it was.
That's
it was
smart.
like 720p, I think was the highest resolution.
That's what my flip was, yeah.
And I didn't know anything about gear kind of stuff. Yes, add a coffee. I would love some too. But like, I had this hutch desk,
Mm-hmm.
and so I would take I don't know if I have one, but the small little tripod holders or whatever. So I would just wedge that between some books and do a top-down view that way, and that's how I started out with the video stuff.
Yeah. I watched a ton of YouTube stuff, and everybody that year got one of those flip HD cameras. They had a few of them. Everybody had one.
I remember those.
And I was like, I'm getting one. I probably made nothing worthwhile with it, but
Well, speaking of old cameras and stuff, something that we're excited about, this is going to be a rabbit trail a little bit, but so my uncle, he gave, like, I inherited, I guess, in a not just gave, but inherited Bronica Zenza film camera, so medium format camera. So I've had it for a while, like probably a couple of years at this point. It was funny because like Houston last week was
never told me.
I told you like I had a film camera, but I don't think I told you that what it was. I'm still learning all that kind of stuff, and you're way more spun up on it than I am. But like, you have your 35 millimeter camera, and you were snapped some photo. I was like, oh, I brought mine here today, so I bring it out, and Houston's face was just like, what is this? Like,
because it's all he does all day, every day is look at film cameras, and we have like 4 film cameras at home, and
more than that,
and we have probably like 10 rolls of film, including film from our wedding that has not been developed, and he just buys more, and like we never get it developed, and I'm like, stop.
once I've finished this roll this weekend, I'm sending it all off. I've got.
That's what you said last
Well,
time.
no, like
on the
I've got all
last show.
the stuff. I want to learn how to develop black and white because it's a lot easier than color, but I want to learn how to do it in my bathroom.
right. But we got the film. We ordered some film last week. That came in, but we also have an old Super 8, double 8.
It got really
film.
confusing because I didn't know 88 was a thing.
And so, long story short, double 8 film, you can expose both sides. And it's a video camera, and it's another heirloom from my uncle. And he was in the Army. He got it in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember his story. And he, it's just been sitting around kind of thing. And he appreciates the work that we do and stuff like that. So he thought that passing it down to me would be a good fit kind of stuff. And I'm like, I want to see about trying to use this. And he's like, I don't even know if this works anymore kind of stuff. But it's in pristine condition for one. Both cameras are.
Took very good care of his stuff.
So that's exciting. But anyways, we got film in. It came in yesterday, and we are going to try to work on that. For dual purpose, one, it's just like time to try to get it done. But also, can't say too much. I doubt she'll be listening to this, but got a friend that there's an opportunity to shoot with that, and her preference is
They want the film look.
So that kind of gives. I'm such a task-oriented person. Like, I'm an artist. Like, I know how to draw and all that kind of stuff, but I don't do it because I don't have any assignments. So it's like that's it's almost the same way with this kind of stuff too. It's if I don't put it on the calendar, or if I don't make it an assignment, it just doesn't get done, or I don't do stuff. Which I have another project we can get into more that I want to get done. That's more of a personal project that I want to work on. But yeah, we can just segue into Dothan. That was, like I said, a rabbit trail. Old
Keep
cameras.
film alive.
So Friday.
Holmes County.
Oh, are you done with Holmes? I thought
Whoops.
you were done with
We're
Holmes
going to be
County.
doing all of their photos and the end. Okay.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. It's a big pickup. But next day, Friday, another school that we work with, we got to do the photography.
Also National Donut Day.
Oh, yes.
And we partook.
As did we. Any time to get free donuts is a good deal. The stool is squeaking.
I love that Kristen did not say a word, but we all understood everything.
But Friday we got to capture Dothan High School's graduation, which was at Big Creek Amphitheater. It was a hot one. Houston got the better end of the deal.
Stand under the shade
was
with
under
the video cameras.
In the pit with the covering.
And tripods.
Yes.
And tripods. So it was pretty cool. I think we got to do some really nice coverage for that they haven't really been able to get, at least with one company. We did photography, we did some drone work, and recorded the video. And so we had 3 people working together. Houston's main task was the video side of stuff. Kristen was doing photography with the shake and takes kind of things. And I started with drone stuff while they were walking down, so that was just a good opportunity to do that. But I just kind of let it sit in the air, then I started snapping photos too, so that was kind of like, hopefully this works and nothing bad happens while I'm flying. But that worked out, landed it, got a few more shots, did some photos and videos with it, and then went into second shooting, getting one side.
Everyone saw you land the drone, by the way.
Yeah, he used to send me a picture. Premier Entertainment Group, they were doing the audio, lighting, and I don't know if lighting.
Image mag.
Yeah, they were also live streaming the thing too, but they had the big video wall up, and my mug was straight up in it for a few seconds at least. And Houston snapped the photo.
Walked right behind
I was
the
like,
keynote speaker, saw the drone drop down.
I was like, how long was I on that screen for? But at least I had a hat on. It wasn't like.
And you happened to walk right behind the speaker to collect the drone and fold it up and stuff.
Blinding people with my baldness because it was hot out.
You had a hat on, like that would disguise you as like a 6'4"
The giant logo on his back.
giant who's landing a drone, but he has a hat on. Who is that?
I'm just saying that there was no glares happening is what I was getting at. Messing up the camera sensors.
Bling bling.
But yeah.
Yeah, there's a glare right now.
There you go. See?
It's sparkling.
If it was Friday, it would have been sweaty glare. But yeah, it was definitely hot. It's a cool setup. It definitely hosts a lot of people, but I would love to have an air-conditioned spot next time. Just putting that out there.
I've never seen more people out and about for a thing at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah, and we try to even plan ahead further for that because I learned last year, and I just did video last year, and I made it there just in enough time. We made it still this time, just in enough time to hit record. Communication. It's like,
we were just sitting there, and I keep hearing, we thought it was starting at 9, and I kept hearing people talking about 8 o'clock, and I'm like, maybe I should say something.
Yes.
Thank you for saying something.
Because I was just finishing up setting up the GoPro, and Kristen sent me a text, and I'm like, punching record now, and ran to go get the drone because I was wanting to get them walking down with the drone shot. It's the cool shot, seeing them kind of fill in and stuff. But they delayed it by 15 minutes. I was like, thank God.
How did the time thing happen? Did they give you the wrong time? Was there just miscommunication about it?
I don't know where the breakdown happened, but it happened. But it was, I don't know.
Because we both got there around, you guys got there 7:15. I got there 7:30.
Right.
And we were under the impression it started at 9, and thankfully, I mean, everything was like basically set up already. And then,
but so with that said, though, like my goal, especially for event stuff, weddings, ceremonies, or anything like that, I would rather be set up an hour or so before anybody starts walking in. Not an hour, I'm saying before the event starts, because normally 30 minutes before the event, that's where everybody's starting to flood in and stuff. And so if you're set up, you're not trying to filter through people, fight through the crowd or anything like that.
I knew something was up when I was like getting there at 7:30, and the line to get in was like 3 miles back the highway.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
When we started talking about who was going to be at your job, Josh was like, he can just be there at 8. That's plenty of time. I am so glad.
I called.
I am so glad we said 7:30.
Yeah.
Well,
and like think about if there had been any technical difficulties or something, like when we went to that graduation and like all the stuff with the GoPro and the sound and all the stuff, like think about if any of that had gone on, like.
Right. Are you talking about the
Sneed.
Oh yeah.
Sneed.
We couldn't get like all the menu stuff to go off the GoPro.
And then the
audio
sound guy
stuff.
wasn't in there, so we were like, what's this going to sound like?
Right.
Because, I don't know.
Well, I was even thinking about the show choir that you guys captured.
Yeah.
And this isn't shaming anybody, but like the person with the key wasn't there in time.
Yeah.
Or the time
Nobody was there.
Yeah.
No one was there.
And so we had
The director of the whole choir thing was locked out too, like trying to get in.
But that's why like we try to be there in a decent amount of time, not just get there on time, kind of stuff, because things go wrong. And
yeah, and I mean with that one, it was like Houston was up, like fixing a couple things on the camera that was on the stage, and I was texting him. I was like, I think they're starting, and he was like, go ahead and hit record. Like
yeah,
it was like
record.
to that point, and like everything was fine once we got rolling, but it was like the second that it started, we were still,
It's fine, except for because we got in there 30 minutes before the show started, couldn't properly check the audio feed that the sound guy was sending us, and then that bit us in the butt, and it was a whole thing. But
we were able to recover. And actually, I gotta send that off. I was waiting. It's such a large video.
Waiting for it to process on
processing on Drive. Like I don't like to. Yeah, it might be completed upload, finished uploading or whatever, but it still has time. It has to process still for someone to watch it, and so I'd rather than be able to watch it than have to try to download it, and you never know what kind of Wi-Fi connection people are on. But we got to wrap up the weekend with actually way more. Goodness gracious. I was just going to say the Saturday 100th birthday party. I'm trying to remember her name.
Miss Louise.
Louise. So she's 100 years old. She was one of the. She has a lot of history in the city. So that was. It's just cool to find and meet people like that. And she was like the direct assistant to Dr. Flowers, so Flowers Hospital. So one of the major hospitals here in the area, big name kind of stuff. So
I was born there.
I was born there.
My kids were born there. So it's just neat to find people like that and actually heard some of the history and some of the different struggles because of her background. She's African-American lady and 100 years. And like
she's
her,
seen a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, her grandson gave a speech and was talking about that kind of stuff. He just did a Google search, like she lived through this, she lived through that. Got to see this, got to see that. So it's really kind of fascinating to hear people lasting this long, 100 years. It's crazy. And all the stuff that they have transitioned through, like she's seen it all, and she's still kicking. Like she's out there dancing on the floor.
She looked like she was having a good time.
Yeah,
she was getting low.
She had a great time.
She was. I mean, her knees are strong.
Yeah, I mean, must have been because when we told my parents about it, and we were like, oh yeah, like they're going to do this 100-year-old's birthday because they had mentioned to us whatever, and I was like, yeah, I think it's from, what was it, 6 to 10, 4 to 10?
4 to 10.
And my dad was like, is she going to be able to, like, stay up that long? Like, till 10 o'clock? So.
I think it wrapped up around 9. but I mean, she was still there, but
Yeah.
the party wrapped up. But still,
So it must have been.
It was a really good time, and that's another project that we gotta to edit. And she actually had like another cool fact was she had a whole day named after her now.
Yeah, the commissioner came out and he named June 6th Miss Felicia. Felicia's her granddaughter, Miss Louise Thompson Day in Dothan, Alabama. And then, I mean, just a bunch of other stuff. Like in Baptist Bottoms, there's going to be a new retirement community. And the commissioner is working on getting a portion of that set aside after her name.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like I said, it's really cool to be part of that kind of stuff. And like we would not be able to meet people like this without the job that we get to do. And like, I'm not going to go in a rabbit hole, but like you hear all the time to niche down. But I love the fact that we can cover so many bases, and it gives us so many opportunities to be able to do stuff, because not every production company is going to do a 100th birthday kind of stuff. They just kind of stick to their lane, or I guess you could say.
A 100th birthday after a high school graduation, after, all of the other weird things that we did in 1 week.
But then, so Sunday was two things for you. You got to, I guess we'll save Sunday for the next podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, that's
Because
this
we're going by
week.
week by week.
I see.
So stay tuned for more projects. But yeah, like as you can see, as what I said at the beginning of the podcast, it feels like our schedule's lighter than what it has been, but we still have a lot going on.
But we're still burning a lot of gas.
Oh my gosh, let's not talk about gas. So current, like this timestamp is the Shell station out here is 469. It was nuts. Like yesterday,
I guarantee it'll be 479 tomorrow, because all the other, they're always 10 cents more than everyone else, and everyone else is 469 now. So it's only a matter of time.
God. It's so bad.
See,
We're old farts talking about gas prices.
Pray for our wallets.
Prices going up.
See, if only we had Kroger, like my grandmother in Jackson, Mississippi. She has Kroger, and so every time she buys groceries, it cents off her gas.
She never goes anywhere, so she just shops.
She
and has
builds it up, and so we'll
$100
come.
off gas every single
We'll
time.
come
She's just like,
and
"Go get gas."
she'll be like, let me buy your gas, whatever. Use my Kroger card, and it'll be like 20-30 cents off
Wow.
every
That's
time.
the kind of stuff I need.
Or
on
I
the
mean,
daily.
she'll be like, oh, I don't have a lot, whatever, and it'll be like 70 cents off. Like it's crazy every gallon. So
Right.
It's
Too bad your car holds like 9 gallons.
Yeah.
literally.
And that 9 gallons costs $60.
Yeah, my dad's thinking about getting a different car because he has a truck.
Yeah, it's like my Explorer. It's like a 13-gallon tank or something. It's a kind of smaller for being an SUV, but the thing sucks up gas. It's like at best, it's like 16 miles per gallon.
Well, and they're diluting gas now with ethanol and all this stuff.
Even
So
more ethanol than
it's
before, yeah.
like
You're paying for more
Doesn't
gas
even
without getting more
last,
gas.
yeah.
I was telling you yesterday, it's like every day that Ford Maverick looks a little more enticing.
On that note, a depressing note.
On that note, I've got to go shopping to go get stuff for the bus.
Yeah, we're excited. Can't wait. So it's like a soft release, I guess you could say, for the bus. Soft release. Okay.
Make an appearance at the 1-year
a
party.
soft appearance.
All right, so follow us on the socials. We got lots going on at evergreencreative.co for all the handles, and for most of them at least. Or just go to our website. There's links. That's the easiest way. If you want to be on the podcast, we are always open to, like Aaron Wilhite said, like, let me know when you're on. It's like, well, we record at this time, so you can call in. Like, you don't have to actually be here. If you want to be here, we can make that happen too. We are always interested in talking to other creators and seeing what processes and wins and losses that we can all learn from each other. We've got a few years professional experience under our belts, but I like to hear from the seasoned guys out there or girls that are able to kind of pass down some information. Like my friend James, like what's cool about him, and I'll just end on this because I could go on another rabbit trail, but it's like I would love to get him on the podcast because he's been in it for a long time and he's seen all the different transitions. He's shot on all kinds of stuff, but he's also staying relevant to the modern kind of stuff. Like he works with the FX6 and, you know, gear like that all the time. He's, you know, asking me questions and stuff, trying to learn from me. So it's really cool to see someone that is up in his years, still trying to learn, always trying to be an influence for others as well. So that's what we want this to be, is a good influence for other creators. So also share the podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts now. It took a minute to get to that point, to get that activated and stuff, but it's available there. Or you can go to our podcast episode page and listen from there. You can click on the widget, but also you can watch the YouTube video. There's ways to listen and watch. Anything that we refer to, I try to leave it on that podcast episode page. So if there's videos that we refer to, photos, different projects, or whatever else, it's at that episode page. So that's the easiest way to follow our stuff. All right, so for this pro tip, I want to talk about something that is kind of ironic because I can't stand it when I get asked a ton of questions. But one of the best ways for pre-production and planning and just being able to give a quote is to ask questions. You've got to learn the art of the question. That's one of the things I learned in my psychology classes and things like that. Learning the art of the question, being able to ask the right questions, being able to know what to try to pull out of the client so that way you can all have the best experience overall. So yeah, asking the right questions, such as, how long is this going to take? What's your idea? What's your vision? What all elements are involved? Who needs to be in the video? Who is going to be signing off on this? Is there an approval process? There's so many different questions and it might be a little bit overwhelming. So that's where, again, learning the art of the question comes in play. You don't necessarily need to bombard them with questions back to back, but through the process, definitely be asking all the right questions. Just kind of step back for a second and ask yourself, what do you need to know from the client? All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We appreciate you watching or listening. If you find value from this podcast, please leave a review. It helps rank us up into the podcast algorithms. Also, if you would like to be a guest on the show and share some of your project experiences, let us know, reach out, and we'll be happy to have you on the show and get you scheduled on. If you're a client and want to work on a project with us, there's contact information down below in the video description. We're looking forward to hearing from you and see what your ideas are and see how we can potentially be a fit to make your project happen. Until then, we'll catch you next episode.